Hey all, it's David Sable coming to you from Lower Manhattan, Silverstein Studios at 7 World Trade Center for Creativity from the Other Side. And I'm so pleased to welcome my newest FOD, my newest friend of David, June Laffey. And the only reason that we're both not in Silverstein Studios is because she's in our Australian studio. Many of you know June, and if you don't know her, you actually do know her because she was the executive creative director of McCann Health in Australia and Southeast Asia, ran one of the most winning departments, healthcare departments in the world, has been a judge at every major judging competition in the world all around healthcare, and built one of the absolute greatest healthcare practices that I ever saw, or really people that I know in the industry ever heard of. And because of that, we are so proud that this longtime jury member is going to become a is getting, I should say, a very special award from us, the Lifetime Achievement Award. And you're getting that Lifetime Achievement Award from the health part of the festival, from New York Festival's Health Awards, which is only going into its second year, I think. And we're proud that we've started those awards. We're proud of the category in general, but we're also proud that we can honor somebody like you, who has done so much to elevate the status of healthcare work in our industry. So welcome.
Fabulous. Thank you. That made me sound very fancy pants.
Well, no, but you are. President of board juries. I mean, really, you've done it all. Interestingly enough, when I talk to people about you, they tell me that you're a career and reputation builder. Everybody keys into this notion of just how you put yourself out there for others. So I thought it'd be interesting just to talk about leadership for a moment, and creativity, but creative leadership. And what does it mean to be a career and reputation builder? What does it take?
It takes, in a word, it takes love. It really does. My focus, I never set out to be chief creative officer or do a fancy pants role. My mode of operating is to actually come from a place of love and really, really love the people. That doesn't mean to say I'm a soft touch, because I'm not. I can be tough. But I really believe if you look after the people, the great work, the business success, the awards, everything else will follow. But you've got to really, really love the people, and you've got to empower them, and you've got to give them the skills and the support that they need, even if they don't realize that they need it. And you've got to start right from day one. And with that comes a lot of respect. With that comes a lot of hard work sometimes. I've always had an open door policy. When I moved to New York and was chief creative officer, it's kind of hard to do an open door policy because my calendar was always really booked. But I said to people, okay, if you want to see me, I'm going to be in the office at 7:30 in the morning. I won't leave until the last person sees me. And I have windows here and I have windows here. And so I made myself available, not because I'm self-sacrificing, but because I truly, truly believe that the gold is in those moments. The gold is in those like interactions of like people being seen, like people actually being heard and seen, and just trying to uplift themselves. And I feel like that's the real definition of, for me, what leadership is, to actually give people a space and place to be better and to actually grow. My want was always, and now I'm moved into the coaching realm, has always been to help mold and shape leaders, creative leaders of the future, and help them lead with heart, help them lead with confidence, and help them lead with compassion.
So I
because
love that. I love that. But let me ask you a question. And just what you said just so resonates with me personally. But many people will tell you, oh yeah, I'm a great leader. I give them all the tools and I support them and I make sure and yada yada yada. You talk about love.
Mm.
What's the secret sauce of love? How does that make, what does that do to my creativity?
It's energy. Energy attracts energy, right? So you may or may not know this. You probably do, but I'm also a channel, so I actually connect into the higher self of people. Um, not in a threatening way, but it's the energy that they feel around me. That I didn't actually realize that people felt that way until people started actually telling me. So the love aspect, that it's so creativity is alchemy for me. It's we create our lives. We can bring forward a life that is filled with love and possibility and opportunity, or we can bring through negativity. We can look at experiences that knock us down as a bad thing. But my belief is that every experience, every single experience in our lives is here to teach us and show us. And so if we actually approach our lives, not just our work, but our lives from a center of love and actually embracing all that the universe gives us, then we are able to actually grow exponentially. So it's not about getting in and fixing things. It's about being that observer. It's about surrendering sometimes. It's about having compassion for people.
So you now are a coach, as you said, and you run a spiritual retreat. And I think one of the things that resonated with me. So much of everything you said resonated with me. Maybe that's all part of what you're talking about. You said, stop doing, be all you can be.
Mm.
And I love that because I think that's really what you're talking about. I think be all you can be.
Yeah.
Take that energy, turn it into something.
Yeah. We as human beings, I think that what we do is we tend to fill our lives and we think and believe. And look, I've learned a lot of this. I have changed a lot. I have accessed the better version of me, I suppose you want to say, because I used to be a real doer, do, go, 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 go. And look, I'm still busy because I'm setting up two business. I'm setting up a retreat, a spiritual retreat where healers can come and help people to heal in the most beautiful place in Topi Topi. But I'm also setting up the coaching business, and there's a crossover. There's a crossover because people can actually come to the retreat space and learn. And if they want to have the added on, they can heal as well. So I'm busy, but I don't feel busy because I've spent the last 2 years actually really getting to know myself. And with that, there was a lot of unbusyness, and there was a lot of actually grounding, healing for myself. I've had 30 years of I'm that old, of a wonderful career, which I'm so grateful for. And to actually stop and actually be in nature and just be with the birds and the trees and just actually ground myself and realize that we're just a small part of this wonderful planet, that we're all connected. Like, we're all connected. So if I hurt my neighbor, I hurt myself.
I love that. So tell us a little about Topi Topi.
Right. Yeah. So I bought the place when I was still married.
Where is it? Tell us where it is and give
Okay.
us the whole, see, because you got nature and trees and birds. I've got
Yeah.
pigeons and light poles, so I need to be inspired a little bit.
Okay, so it's 3 hours north of Sydney. It's 5 acres. It's on a ridge that overlooks water, like Lake Mile, and mountains, a Bulladilla mountain range. It's about 20 minutes from what's just been voted the #2 best beach in Australia. But we're surrounded by water. There's so many amazing, incredible beaches that are empty a lot of the time because it's not a highly populated place. I have converted the house, so there's a bit more room to live and stay. I've converted my shed into a incredible studio, again for retreat and workspace. And then I've put in gardens, and I haven't really known why I've been doing it. I've just been doing it because I'm being guided to. I'm feeling it, and it all started when a man, and see, there's magic happens there. It all started when a man who was a friend of a friend, and I met him through a spiritual group that I only went to twice. He came to visit me. He was an ex-monk, and he said to me, I had a dream last night, staying in his van on my property. Can I build on your property? And I said, sure. What do you want to build? And he said, just trust me. I went, okay. And then I said, well, I don't have spare cash. He said, it doesn't matter. And he built the most beautiful, beautiful healing house, which now houses my crystal bed, where people come and have crystal bed sessions. I'll channel for them. I'll sing for them. I channel song and light language. And that started the healing process for quite a few people in the area. So he started it. I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, are you crazy? This would have cost you so much money. But I finally got it when he was near to completion, and I drove up. I was in Sydney. I drove up and I saw him working, and he was just so full of joy to be able to do this and give this. And he said to me, June, he said, there's community coming here. There's leaders, all sorts of leaders that will be coming here, and you are going to grow with your spiritual gifts. And that has happened. The land also is on a high point, a ridge which is very Aboriginal in its energy, and it used to be a place where they'd hold corroboree. So it was a lookout, but it was also a place of celebration.
Very cool. So now I understand why when people talk about you at the various award shows, the phrase that comes up one way or another, if this isn't an exact quote, it's pretty close, that June brings passion, integrity, and love into every jury room. And now I understand it. I wish I had been in a jury room with you. I imagine there would have been an incredible
experience. Hey, I'm open to go back into jury rooms. In fact, I'd love to.
It would have been amazing because I can picture it. So let's talk about work a little bit, going back, not just the spiritual work, but the work that you spent 30 years of your life in. You talked at one point about tech and creative, particularly for the healthcare, being a real confluence of blessing and being just absolutely perfect storm. Can you build on that a little?
Yeah, look, I feel, and it's really interesting what's happening with artificial intelligence now. So I'll just say that and then park it. So I went into healthcare deliberately in the year 2000 because I wanted to make a difference. What I realized probably about 5 years into that is that tech was starting to actually be leading the way in some aspects of healthcare, but a lot of people were looking at the tech but weren't actually really embracing it in terms of creativity and ideas, and so they thought that tech was an idea. But then there seemed to be, and I think that the award shows have a lot to be praised for, because they gave us and give us and continue to give us a platform which has been attracting more and more kids and people that are very tech savvy, that have grown up with tech and are right into the next stages of tech. And those people started to come into the health realm and develop apps, machines, services, different ways of actually taking a creative idea and finding a tech solution to make that idea shine.
But to get to the creative, you still need to have great insight.
Yeah, you do.
You still need to have a true understanding of the issue, of the problem, what you might do to bring together the tech and your creativity to solve it. So I thought maybe we could talk about a couple of pieces of your work that I loved. And I did go through just about everything that I could find. So the first one I thought we could talk about, because it means a lot to me, and also because I know the Oliver family, and I worked with them and did projects in memory of Joaquin. And for those who don't know, Joaquin Oliver was killed, was murdered in Parkland by an evil mass murderer who was given a weapon of mass destruction, if you will, freely, and used it, unfortunately, on his classmates. And his family had decided that they weren't going to be bitter, but they were going to fight back.
Yo, it's me. It's Guac. I've been gone for 2 years and nothing's changed, bro. People are still getting killed by guns. What is that? Everyone knows it, but they don't do anything. I'm tired of waiting for someone to fix it. The election in November is the first one I could have voted in, but I'll never get to choose the kind of world I wanted to live in. So you've got to replace my vote. Go to unfinishedvotes.com, register, then go vote. Vote for politicians who care more about people's lives than the gun lobby's money. Vote for people not getting shot, bro. I mean, vote for me, because I can't. We've got to keep on fighting, and we got to end this.
The conversation here is about guns.
Yes.
And we know that talking about limiting guns doesn't work. We know that talking about gun control is exactly the wrong way to go. It just makes people even crazier. And so you went a completely different way.
Yeah. So it was all about getting people to actually realize that nothing is changing. So you need to use your vote to actually change this conversation. You need to actually go in there and vote for the people that couldn't vote. And so that was the insight. And then from there, the degree of difficulty to actually make this, because we had some incredible partners. Again, I'm going to give full credit to Tim Jones and Josh. There were other people involved as well down the track, but I'm going to give full credit, because what happened, I talk about having an insight, having an idea, and then finding the tech. We actually had to invent, to a certain point, our own tech, because there wasn't enough video and still and voice recording to actually do what would normally happen with CGI and putting things together. And so we worked to create a whole new way of bringing him back to life. And then I think that the next thing that I want to say is that his parents became such a big part of that whole film, because they had to go through. It actually makes me very emotional. They had to go through watching their son, who was murdered, come back to life. and they're part of what was extraordinarily successful for McCann Health. But it's not about that. It's about the love that those parents had for their son to keep fighting for change. Because
and they are extraordinary people, to say the truth. And I recommend everybody to look for it. It's called Unfinished Votes, and it's really about unfinished lives, and you'll see what can come back to life. It's very, very emotional. Again, having spent a lot of time with the family, it was incredibly emotional for me as well. So let's go to let's move on to another piece of work. And again, to me, it's just the incredible insights that are so different from what maybe we're used to seeing. Anybody who has a friend who has Crohn's disease knows how debilitating it is, and knows just how embarrassing it can be and how miserable that people who suffer can be when you want to go out and you want to plan and you want to do stuff. And you went right for it.
You're talking about the toilets?
I am indeed.
Oh, that's a very old piece of work. Thank you.
But it was so good.
Uh,
I sent it to one of my friends who suffers, and he was, oh my God.
Yeah, it was very interesting. It was a very interesting piece to work on. And I worked with Simon Johnson on that at DDB many years ago. But yes, what we did is we put toilets in places that you really wouldn't expect, because okay, so one of the insights when you have Crohn's disease is you get caught short all the time. And so people that suffer badly, they can have accidents. They also can have stoma, where actually feces actually comes through the skin. It's a shocking disease. But what they do, so many of them, is they have to plan before they go out. They have to plan where the nearest toilet is. And so their lives revolve around toilets. And so we thought, if the lives revolve around toilets, let's actually show what this looks like.
So one last piece I want to ask you about, because it's sort of outside of the general scope of the three things that we talked about, which are pretty serious, but still had such a great insight. And I love your craft. And I thought the craft on this one was completely different, as you'll tell us, but equally as clever. And that was cap cracking.
Cap cracking, it's some are for, others against.
It's an epidemic, and these women are walking into supermarket aisles and cracking the caps and sniffing in the middle of lane 7.
A great and memorable piece of real advertising.
Yeah, that was so much fun. Yeah, and that actually led us to then it might have been the other way around, but we started doing work for Metamucil as well, which was also fun. But yeah, the insight. So we worked with Facebook Creative Shop on that, and the insight was that herbal essences smell so good. You do crack the cap to smell, and I see people doing it all the time. This happens in real life, to smell before they buy, because out of all of the shampoos and conditioners out there, I think that they're probably the smelliest, but not in a bad way. And so we used that, and then we set up this the cap cracking security guard and the cap cracking shopper who basically took umbrage with the woman that would go in, and the beautiful woman that would go in and crack the cap. Beautifully directed, Nick Clinton, and produced by Mike from Truce Films. I've done quite a bit of work with them. They're based in Melbourne. They have an incredible way of working with talent, and a lot of the work that they do is organic. So every time I worked with them, we would have a script and we would have a client that would let us play. And that's where the gold is. Like, that's where the gold is, because you can actually, on the day, it's all about the actor actually not acting, but live in that moment, right? And
you can see it in the execution. It's just great. Even though you're not judging this year, you are getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, and you've been inside so many jury rooms. What can you share with our audience about what might help them enter festivals, New York festivals this year, enter our health festivals? Like, what should they be thinking about? What kind of work should they send in? How do they present it? What's going to help them win?
Okay. Have a great idea, beautifully crafted, number one. Of course. Talk to the guys at New York festivals. Talk to them. Because if you're in any doubt about what category you should enter or categories you should enter, they will help you. I have a long association with New York festivals, which goes back to actually starting a show in APAC, which was replicated over there. And so I know all of the people really, really well then, and they're not ogres, they're incredible people. And so, number one, talk to them. Number two, when you write an idea, or when you come up with a creative idea that you think potentially has potential to be an award winner, start writing your case study right then. Because if you can actually then live the case study and shoot for it when you're shooting whatever it is you're shooting, assuming that you're shooting, think about how you're going to measure results. Think about if you hold it back a year, if you don't have any results and you know it's starting to grab momentum, is it better to hold off, or is it better to just go full bore? Think about those things. I'd also say if you're in a one jury room and you want to put in your entry multiple times, really think hard about that, because over entering can actually hold you back. If people are seeing an idea the first time and they love, and I've seen this happen at Cannes actually, where a piece of work has come up, people are blown away by it. By the time they see it the sixth time in the room that day, they don't want to look at it anymore, and they're starting to find fault with it, and there's no surprise in it. And so I've seen something go from a silver to actually shortlist, and then I had to say something to say, look, they made a mistake, but the work is still good. So think about that. If you can separate, if you've got budget to enter 6 times, look at where else you can enter across different juries. Make sure that your entry is category specific. If you're entering into copywriting, it shouldn't be the same entry as you'd put in for direction. You need to tell me, a judge who might have 300 pieces to look at in a day, with multiple people that are getting tired, and it might be that we come across copywriting right at the end, and you're not telling me why it's a great copywritten piece. So you talk about if there's a cultural nuance, if there's a something that makes this extraordinary. It might be the poetic nature of it. It might be the humor of it. But just make it easy for me to judge it well.
So I hope everybody paid attention, because you just got a master class in how to enter New York festivals and probably all award shows as well. But let's keep it here right now, New York festivals. But that was amazing. Thank you. And I'll just point out to everybody who's listening and watching that you got to always start, though. You have to have a good idea, great insight, or great insight, good idea, and great craft, great execution. So all the rest is commentary. If you don't have that, like, don't bother. But I do thank you so much for sharing that, because really it was like taking a master class. So June, I can't thank you enough. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I'd love to come to Toppy one day. And so, folks, I say thank you again for listening. Thank you again for being with us. Thanking June on your behalf for the masterclass that we got, and congratulating her for getting the Lifetime Achievement Award from New York Festivals and our Health Awards, which is really amazing, and I think is something that so honors us and all of us, the whole industry. So again, coming to you from Lower Manhattan, Silverstein Studios at 7 World Trade Center, talking to my new friend, to June Laffey, who happens to be right now in Oz, in our studio in Oz. How do you like that? We've expanded, we've become global. Our studio in Oz. I thank you for being here on behalf of New York Festivals, on Creativity from the Other Side. Put in your awards. I look forward to you winning, and be well, everybody. And June, lots of love.